So the manhunt for Floyd Ray Cook is over. He got shot last night, this morning, Friday morning, 12:20 a.m. The manhunt had started on Saturday afternoon and ended Friday morning, so it was almost a week, nearly 7 days. So I'm going to come back to that first. There was a story coming out of Frankfort, Kentucky, WKYT. Investigators in Frankfort found the body of a teenager who was reported missing earlier this week. He was 17-year-old Zachary Thomas Watson. The only thing, this is a sad story because first there's news reports about him being missing, and then they found his body on Clinton Street near downtown Frankfort. So he had killed himself, apparently. There was no foul play suspected. He was at a job. He walked away. He quit the job. He got dumped by his girlfriend, and I'm not sure what else was going on in his life, but those are the only two things that they had mentioned. His last phone call went to his girlfriend, and he had quit work. His mother tried texting him, "Is he okay?" He never responded. And after being gone for 2 weeks, they filed a missing persons report, and within a few hours, actually, they were able to find, I think they just connected the dots. So Frankfort Police and Frankfort County Coroner's Office are conducted joint investigation into the death, but preliminary investigations say no foul play. Zachary Thomas Watson was last seen leaving work on Monday. His last known phone call was made to his girlfriend Monday evening at 6:20 p.m. His phone pinged a cell phone tower in downtown Frankfort around 11:30 p.m. Monday, but there hasn't been any activity since. So they was able to track his phone actually 11:30 p.m. So he called his girlfriend 6:20. He was last seen leaving work, so I don't know if he was quitting or just leaving the workplace. But from Monday evening 6:20, and then eventually they found him dead. October 29th was when this article was written. So suicide is a problem. Unfortunately, it does hit young people, young males especially. There's two things. Whenever I think about a suicide, there's two major things that I think about. And one is, it is selfish. It's very self-centered, saying that you only care about your own emotions and your own little, bubble and your own world view. That's human in some respects. I think you have a right to do it, but it does say that you're selfish. But it also says that whatever situation that you feel like you're stuck in, you feel like there's no hope. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. And that's horrible. Why is there no hope? Emil Durkheim, the father of sociology, wrote on suicide. And the whole book was predicated on the assumption that suicide is unnatural, it doesn't make sense for the species. Why does that happen? A unique phenomenon in humans, but it showed a breakdown of society. Society broke down. If somebody, part of society, says, "I don't want to be here," and they just off themselves, and it seems like there's no rhyme or reason, well, there is a reason. There's something behind it. Just because, was he lonely? He really loved his girlfriend? Was he getting beat up at home? Was he getting bullied at school? What did this young man go through? I would like to know his full story because I think it's the best way to honor him. He'll be young forever, and he's only 17. He's only 17, and so that was I posted on the Kentucky News Facebook page. Today's a good day because nobody got shot. Right? Nobody got shot in Kentucky. Today's a good day, but that had happened yesterday, and Floyd Ray Cook got shot and killed early this morning. Now I'm just going to actually read the report. But he had got shot, and I was hoping that he wasn't going to get shot. You know, yeah, he had shot at the police and he had a pistol. Is it possible to, you know, they shot smoke canisters at him and, you know, could they have captured him somehow, shot rubber, I don't know. Smoke canister seems like a good way. Talk him down, get a bullhorn. Did they try to talk him down? Like to think that they did, but because he had shot at a police officer, I also think that they might feel threatened for their own lives and, you know, just feel a revengeful attitude just, you know, for that. But that's not, you know, he got pulled over because his license plate ran and it came up that he had a bench warrant for trafficking meth and for tampering with evidence. So that was the initial crime. Then it happened in June. He didn't show up. Then failure to appear. Bench warrant by the circuit judge was issued. And then he went on the lam. He stayed on the low, right? So, I don't know. I guess I'll think actually, I'm gonna read the thing and then I'll give my overview of the whole thing. So, Floyd Ray Cook manhunt started Saturday afternoon, October 24th, 2015, and lasted nearly a week when 62-year-old Floyd Ray Cook of Lebanon, Kentucky, shot a Tennessee Highway Patrol officer who had pulled Cook over in Putnam County, Tennessee, over an outstanding bench warrant ended 12:20 a.m. early Friday morning, October 30th, 2015, when Floyd Cook was shot and killed in Cumberland County, Kentucky, 7 miles south of Burkesville on U.S. Route 61. So the beginning is when he got pulled over by the Tennessee patrolman, and then the end is when he got shot on the hillside, just south, 7 miles south of Burkesville. This is the capital of Cumberland County, Kentucky. The agencies involved were the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, Kentucky State Police, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. I saw a Clay County police officer, probably Cumberland County. The Cumberland County coroner was there. So there's, probably just a ton of agencies that were all participating in this. Marion County somehow got into the middle of it, and then, his associates, I don't even know. It seems to me that Floyd Ray Cook was in Cumberland County the whole time. When that Saturday he got pulled over, shoots at the guy because I guess he's afraid that he knows about the warrant, takes off, and he runs north. It was on Saturday afternoon, Allgood, Tennessee, a small town on Interstate 40 midway between Nashville and Knoxville. Oscari Valencia is the man's name. He's Hispanic male. An Allgood police officer pulled over a black Ford 150 after a search of the vehicle's license plate turned out to be driven by a wanted man from Kentucky. As Valencia walked towards the truck, Floyd Cook fired multiple shots from his handgun. And I'm not sure exactly which gun he used, a pistol of some type. I mean, how did he have, how many bullets could he have had? Hitting Officer Valencia in the abdomen portion of his bulletproof vest. The bulletproof vest saved Valencia. Oscari Valencia, he lived. Cook fled. It doesn't even say that Valencia shot back, so it just seems like he got shot. Cook takes off. He goes north to Kentucky, driving in on side roads. It says he headed north into Kentucky on the west side of Dale Hollow Lake. And he was driving a black F-150 on back roads. Then Jeremy Baker, a Kentucky State police officer about 50 miles north of Allgood, ran into him. So Jeremy Baker is the Kentucky State police officer who, again, this is twice that police officers have spotted Cook and chased him, and he gets away. So at 5:04 p.m. Saturday, shots were reported fired, radioed in by Baker. Neither Cook nor Baker were wounded after the shootout. Cook then proceeded to flee on foot, disappearing into the wooded foothills. So this, Floyd Cook is just running out into the hillsides of Appalachia, just the forest and the mountainous region. And he stayed, it seems that he stayed in the same county for almost 7 days, just hiding in the woods. You would think that they used helicopters, they used heat ray technology, seeking or whatever, thermal seeking technology, and they used all this technology, but none of the technology actually turned him up. if anything, they found him because he came across some witnesses. First, there was a boy who was driving to his father's house who saw him go into his father's house I want to say Sunday, the day after. That's some of the developments that had happened. Okay, so it gets a little bit bigger, but I want to mention the warrant, right? I already mentioned it once, but he was arrested in Hardin County by the Sheriff's Department in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, which is close to Louisville, so it's actually really far away, probably about 3 or 4 hour drive, on June 27th. So that was earlier this year, at the end of June. The traffic stop discovered that Cook had possessed methamphetamines. They charged him with first-degree trafficking, so apparently he had enough, meth on him to where it looked like he was selling it. And then they also charged him with tampering with physical evidence because he had tried to destroy his methamphetamine supply. Cook was released on a $75,000 partially secured bond. It's a big bond, $75,000. Who put that bond up? Perhaps that's the reason why that Troy Wayne and Katie McCarty, his associates who were arrested really far away from him, was connected to him. A month later, he failed to appear in Hardin County Circuit Court, so the Circuit Court judge issued a bench warrant for his arrest. So this manhunt lasted a week long. There was lots of, ebb and flows. First it happened, you think, oh, it's all over. Sunday, they said that they found a house that they thought he was in, 963 Dalworth Road, James Bowles' house. And the young man was supposed to be, was with his girlfriend. This is, initial reports. It seems like lots of different things are coming in. But he had seen him go in his father's house. The son had called it, and then they fired a bunch of tear gas canisters. They were yelling to get him, get out if you're in there, Floyd Cook. And they couldn't find him. He wasn't around. He wasn't there. He didn't flee the scene. He just wasn't there. So if he had gone in, he was gone by the time that they had got there. But apparently they didn't search good enough because the house burnt down. So I don't know if the house burnt down because the authorities were doing it, burning whatever, Floyd Cook had in there. It was James Bowles' house. So why would, where was James Bowles at the entire time? It burns down on Tuesday. So, they look in Sunday to find it. They can't find it. And then Tuesday, it just burns down. Insurance reasons, did he do it for insurance? They've already busted every window out with tear gas canisters. Are they going to pay for any of this stuff? Lots of damage, property, lots of time spent, thousands of dollars. And, I think they could have taken him alive. For 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Cumberland County Public Schools were closed down by the order of the Superintendent, Kirk Biggerstaff. They called the manhunt off due to weather and darkness on Sunday night. So he was only, just Saturday he ran off, was hiding in the hills, and they only searched for, a couple hours that night and then resumed the next morning. They give him plenty of time to, to walk a good distance. But it's, mountains aren't easy to walk up over. So I wouldn't think he could have, he's 62 years old too, so how far could a 62-year-old man run away? Eventually, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals join in the search. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation offers a $1,000 reward. On Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. is when the Dalworth Road house, the 963 Dalworth Road house, burns down mysteriously, but definitely intentionally. It wasn't any lightning strike or brush or any accident. Somebody intentionally burned it. Perhaps Cook came back, burned some evidence or something, but if he's running out in the hills, it doesn't seem like he's got much time to be running back and forth. Could Bowles have done it? Could the authorities have done it? Why did it burn down? It seems like there's arson investigators. So what did they come up with? Did they find out anything? Then Wednesday, 8 p.m., 35-year-old Katie McCarty and her boyfriend, 50-year-old Troy Wayne, were arrested, and they were found in White House, Tennessee, which was just north of Nashville. And they were found by U.S. Marshal. They gave chase. They ran into some cop cars. The U.S. Marshals shot at them, but they didn't fire back. They first said there was another shootout because that was that's what made this thing, Floyd Ray Cook's bench warrant a big deal, was when it became, a shootout. But they were so far removed from the scene. It seems like Troy Wayne stayed in the county the whole time, and I don't even know what they could have done. Give him some bread, give him some water. That was his last words that we got recorded, was that he just wanted a drink of water. So they gave chase. They found her in the mud near a cornfield, and they found him like walking several blocks away after they crashed their vehicle. So they ran away, rammed 2 police cars, got shot at, go down a dead end cul-de-sac, crashed their vehicle. They both run into the cornfield. They find her in the mud. They find him several blocks away. So then they eventually kill him early Friday morning, late Thursday night, like 12:20 a.m. So on Thursday, October 29th, Cook showed up at a local Kentucky man's house in the afternoon. His sister is about to leave his house, and so it's a brother and a sister, and she's clicking her keys to unlock her car. Then she thought she saw a shadow by the garage. When she looked up, Floyd Cook was standing in front of her next to a post next to the garage. Floyd Cook wouldn't identify himself, but he did tell the woman, "I mean you no harm, I just need a drink of water. I mean you no harm." So supposedly, the boy who had, 963 Bulwark Road, the Coles or whatever, Bowles, James Bowles, he had been held at gunpoint. The teenager with his girlfriend were held at gunpoint. He enters the house, and then eventually he gets away and tells the police that he saw him. They get there, and he was gone. But that was 2 pedestrians that he had saw, 2 citizens, civilians, that he didn't do any harm to. And then this last couple he didn't do any harm to either. The only harm was when he was about to get arrested, kidnapped, taken back to jail. I'm not excusing it, but I think we should be precise. The media is just trying to take his name and rub it through the mud. And he's not a good guy. He's got a really shitty rap sheet. Just goes on and on and on. In fact, one of the cases, I think the assault case, it had him put in jail for 99 years. So I don't know how you can get out of a 99-year sentence and still be walking around. But he did do a lot of things, in the 70s and the 80s. But all this is stemming from a methamphetamine charge, which happened in Hardin County, and then the bench warrant, and then the attempted arrest of him with an outstanding warrant. So that's just to be precise. We just, if we're going to talk about this, we need to be precise about it. He says, "I mean you no harm, I just need a drink of water, I mean you no harm," and clearly that woman took that to mean, "Oh my God, he's going to kill us and rape us all and take me hostage, I just know he is." Then they actually said that they thought he might have been a police officer. Someone said he had a gun that was holstered, so perhaps he was an undercover police officer. So, they weren't quite 100% sure that this Floyd Cook was actually the man that was running around. Clearly he was respectable, and he just wanted a drink of water, being out in the woods, for several days. That's all he was asking for, just a drink of water. And he didn't kill anybody, but he was killed. So, I think, attempted murder is a big crime. They're trying to take, he tried to take away the life of that officer who was doing his job. And so that's a crime that he could be charged with, attempted murder, methamphetamines, fleeing, resisting, all that. But assault or hurting anybody else, running over anybody, it's a high-speed chase. This could have gone a lot worse. He could have been an actual dangerous, armed and dangerous. But I didn't get the impression that he was dangerous. I guess my overall take on this is there's 4.3 million people in Kentucky. That's the whole population of the state, 4.3 million. And there's been 17 people who have been killed this year. Now, that's, 17 executions. And that's a big deal. Some people think death penalty, it should be abolished. And here we have officers of the law, which is, they're kind of the low man on the totem pole. They're the ones that initiate a complaint, but then it has to go through the criminal justice system. They are given free rein to almost do as they please, so it's not a free branch government, but a police government, a police state, and then the other 3 branches are following their lead, so the tail is wagging the dog. And so, 17, it's not that much, too. 17 isn't that, out of 4.3 million, can one of these you know, one of the citizens of Kentucky just snap and just do some crazy shit that they, you know, like a rabid dog, until you shoot them or knock them down, they'll just keep on being, you know, like a rabid dog. So you don't want to get bit, you want to get their disease, and if they're on a rampage and cannot be stopped, yeah, I think that's clear. You know, in 17 it doesn't seem like it's that many, but it is, right? Every life is valuable. But out of 4.3 million, 17, I don't know. It doesn't, maybe because it hasn't, nobody close to me, you know, if somebody close to me had got shot this year. Some of the cases seem very questionable. They don't always release all the information. The last guy in Knott County, he was Stephen H. Brock, that was his name, and still his name, but, you know, he's not alive anymore. And they said that he didn't even have a handgun. So why did he get shot? What did he get shot for? He didn't have a gun on him. Or they didn't say it. Why wouldn't they not say it? If you're the police, would you not say, oh, he had a gun, he was raising it to me, my life was threatened, I had to shoot him? With Floyd Ray Cook, they don't say that he shot back at them. They said gunfire was exchanged. Well, that sounds euphemistic. That sounds like U.S. Marshals, you know, whoever was the people who actually killed Floyd Ray Cook. There's 3 people on the scene. There's 2 U.S. Marshals and I want to say a Kentucky State police officer. But there's 3 people on the scene, so maybe all of them can say they got a bullet inside of them. But they said, you know, shots exchanged, meaning they saw him just start shooting and then he shot a couple shots back in self-defense. You know, I don't know if you could say it's self-defense, his initial shooting with the Tennessee police officer, but the Kentucky State police officer, I think you could say it's definitely self-defense. Past the Tennessee thing, it's all self-defense, right? Because you know they're going to be pissed off after you for, you know, trying to shoot at one of them. And so that's, so overall, you know, the cops are winning. You know, there's been two cops that were shot in Kentucky versus 17 civilians. So you're more likely to get hurt if you're a civilian than if you're a cop. There is an article here, The Guardian has a really good, they got all the police killings in America every day, you know, every week or whatever, the names and places of where they get shot. America's on the road to getting 1,100 people. 1,100 people are going to be shot by police officers by the end of 2015. We only got 2 months left, right? 950 so far. 950 people have been killed by police officers. So even though there's urgent warnings from police and others about a war on cops allegedly linked to the Black Lives Matter protest movement, statistics show 2015 is in fact shaping up to be one of the safest years for law enforcement in a generation. So in forever. I've also seen statistics that just show, like, being a farmer, a garbage worker, everyday normal jobs has a higher fatality rate than being a police officer. So, and that's what we pay police officers for. That's the reason why they have tax dollars. You know, yeah, it is a hard job. If there's something going around and it's crazy, they need to be called to solve the situation. But that's what they're being paid for. That's their job. So if you didn't know that, you know, then perhaps you shouldn't have been a police officer. But I think actually most police officers not only know that, but they enjoy it. They love it. They, you know, when something like this happened, they know exactly, you know, they get to put on their military gear and they get to fly helicopters and use heat thermal seeking devices. And it's exciting, right? How fun. You know, how fun was it for all the dozens of authorities and all the different agencies working, colluding together? Hey, I found this out. I got this lead. What, you know, where are we going to go next? Where is he at? Where is this man at? So they definitely blew him up way bigger than what he did. He just runs out to the woods and just stayed out there, and that was it. You know, he wasn't in White House. He wasn't in Marion County. Supposedly there's a car theft in Marion County. They said that it was Troy Wayne who had did it. And so I don't know. If your friend comes up and says, hey, this thing is happening and you don't want to be involved with it, I feel like if you give them bread, a couple bucks, no, I don't want to see you, I think that's actually appropriate. In fact, you could also, you know, he could have held you up, right? Oh, I'm being held up. I'm a hostage. I have to kind of go along and do this stuff. So, and if they were actively being good friends, you know, trying to get a hold of them, trying to pick them up, trying to figure out what to do, I think that seems remote. That there's a very, maybe he called them after it happened or something. But it just seems like he's driving around Tennessee, and all good gets pulled over for some random reason. The cop tails him, says, "I'm going to run his plates," find out that he has a warrant. And so there's no way he could have been prepared for this. So I think it just happened, and they ran north. He got chased again, ran out in the woods, fired shots to get him, from following him, and then just kept running. So I don't know how your cell phone doesn't work out in the woods. So he's not contacting them unless he was contacting them as he was driving away. He only had, 50 minutes or so of driving time, and probably half that time he was being chased. So I don't know. I don't see him making any phone calls unless they saw on the TV. They give him somebody give him a $75,000 secured, partial payment. They paid partially on a $75,000 secured bond. So somebody put a house or a substantial amount of money so he could be free. And then once he was bailed out of jail, he didn't go to court. So he knew he was on the run. After that had happened, but somebody was close to him. There was an article about his sister, and his sister said he was a good guy. He had his moments, like anybody else does, but overall he was personable, nice guy. When I look at him, I see, I read the reports, and I believe them. I believe something happened with all those charges during the 70s and 80s. But when I look at him, blue eyes, sunken face, worn out, 62 years old, he just seems like a tired old man, tired, calm, gentle. I don't know. Selling drugs is bad, especially if he's selling to kids. But if it's just adult transactions, I feel like adults should be allowed to do whatever they want to do with their own body. So I don't, look negatively on that charge. I think Portugal, the model for Portugal, is what we should apply here in the United States. Do the Colorado model for cannabis, and for the rest of the drugs are bad. The hard drugs, the hard street drugs should be like Portugal. It should be there should be a tolerance for it. With the incarceration, violence, fines, those should be the last resort. We should exhaust all peaceful options before we go to those final resort, that final solution. Smash a person in their face and tell them to clean up, right? But I pity him. Why was he selling meth? He couldn't get a job because of all his charges, so he's branded a felon, an ex-felon. He did his time, evidently. He got out, and he was a free man, and he got out, and he couldn't get a job nowhere, so he had to eat somehow. Thought, I'll sell some meth, I'll make some money, and now because he had to eat, and the choice of occupation, the limited amount of occupations that he could have been, employed in, was severely limited. Not to mention, since he'd been in prison, he probably had lots of contacts, got a PhD, in criminology and pharmaceutical, distribution. So that's overall, the cops have. I want to believe in the cops. I want to believe that the cops are out there in favor of us. When they are killing us, the 17th one seems justified, but in Knott County, the day before this manhunt started, you had Luke Pridemore, who was a Kentucky State police officer for the second time, kill a citizen, and this guy was unarmed, killed him at his own home, in his house. The first guy he killed, Michael Asher, was in his doorway. So he's killing citizens at their homes, in their doorways, right in front of their lawns. And we don't even know if Stephen Brock had a gun. He didn't have a gun. Why wouldn't they would have said that? So he comes out of the bush with his hands behind his back. It looks like he's got something more than what he does, but he doesn't, and now he's dead. He's on his own property. Castle law. You're not allowed to go around, everybody that drives by. You better not, don't you come up on my property, just, tell everybody that. But that they're right. Don't trespass on my property or else, castle law will be enforced. And so if they're not saying, I'm going to get you, but if you do this, then so that guy, Stephen Brock, I don't know what his crime was, just being old, drunk, crazy. He was at his own house, and if he didn't even have a gun, what the fuck? What the fuck? It seems like it's very likely that he had a gun. And even then, you know, it's on justified, it's when you pull the gun. If the gun is holstered, then everybody's good, you know, open carry. So as long as it's outside, holstered, put into a slot out of the way. But if it's already out, then, you know, because it takes at least a half a second or whatever to have to unholster and go for it, so that gives anybody else who's paying attention a half a second to probably draw faster. But that's justified when the guy pulls the gun.